I just did a 10-year renewal, right? And I didn't think twice about it.
What are the key steps that you needed to do to make sure that the company is sustainable and without you being in there?
One of the commitments I made to my team in the first couple of years was like, we'll hire slow and fire fast, right? And we're going to do everything we need to do to maintain culture inside the shop. And my number one metric is not my P&L. My number one metric is retention of my team.
Well, there he is. Michael Cole.
How are y'all?
Michael, we just got back, the three of us, from Data Driven, which was a fantastic event this year. Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. It's one of my favorite events throughout the whole year. I just enjoy it so much.
Well, why is it that it's your favorite event out of the whole year?
Well, so, many of the shows can be kind of focused on what's happening on the show floor, like with the entertainment that's happening on the show floor, the giveaways on the show floor, things like that. What I love about Data Driven is the people who are coming there are very serious about their business, and they're very serious about growing and walking away from Data Driven better than they came in there. They're committing time out of the business to come there and grow and get better. And so the people who are there are some of the highest quality people I'm around all year. They're fantastic.
And it feels like you could really connect.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, I mean, there's built-in time for connection.
Yeah, and I think it's the best networking event there is, I really do. And this year it was beautiful. It was Scottsdale, Arizona. I really enjoyed it.
So nice. Being outside and connecting with people was so good.
Yeah, and and I don't know, Nicole and I, we've been in Scottsdale a few times, and there's something really special in that place. It's so nice to have, the beautiful friends that we have, the connections that we have together around. And this time we were at a really nice location, so I love that. And so I don't know if you knew that, but I was just flying from Bangkok and I landed in Scottsdale. So literally, we were flying for 38 hours, landed in Scottsdale, and got picked up by that driverless
Waymo.
Oh, Waymo.
Waymo.
I love Waymo.
I love Waymo. Oh my gosh.
How fun was that? So one night, Nicole took that Waymo, and I texted her like, listen, don't take Uber that late. I'm going to come and pick you up because I know you're going to be out with the girls and having fun. And she's just like, don't worry about me. I got Waymo beside me.
And I took Waymo home and it was the best. I Irish goodbye that night. I was like fading into the background, got right into a Waymo and went on my way. But it's so fun. It's technology is wild, isn't it? And I agree. I think, Renee, that data driven is such an amazing place for connection, right? I loved being able to see Michael Cole, though if your booth would have been closer, I would have been happier about that.
Yeah, we may not get any work done though.
We might have not. Maybe they did that on purpose. It's like whenever you're in elementary school and you get separated from your best friend because you guys are talking too much. That's probably what it would have been like.
But we're here to talk about profit, about money. How can we utilize every dime that we make, and how can we reinvest in our wealth? So, but we're here to talk about what's really brought you here. Michael, you've coming from the military background. You're in the beauty industry. I feel you because I come from a military background and I am in the military industry. I mean, in the beauty industry. So um, I would love to you if you can tell everyone your connection to the industry, and let us know what is it that you felt like made you really successful with that specific, investment that you did.
Yeah, it's a great story. So I like to akin my retiring from the Navy like graduating, right? And it's kind of funny the number of people who said, "Hey, congratulations on graduating," or I mean retiring. um, but as I was transitioning out, I was really trying to figure out like what did I want to do when I grew up, right? And I did do a brief stint as a W-2 employee and just realized that I was a terrible W-2 employee, and so I fired myself, went to went to the CEO and I said, "Hey, I love y'all. You're great. This company's wonderful, but I am not a very good employee, and you probably know that." So, uh, but part of that journey, the community we live in, Daniel Island and Charleston, it was a bit like Mayberry from the Andy Griffin Show, if you're familiar with that. Yeah, yeah, but there was no Floyd's Barbershop. And so my business partner and I would joke after church that, we lived in Mayberry, there's no Floyd's Barbershop. And the joke is on with both of us because we didn't have any hair. And so we eventually just said, you know what? I mean, we've talked about this enough. Let's figure it out. Let's figure out how to do this. So I went to Amazon. I bought a book on how to open a barbershop and read it, and we were off and running. And the smartest thing I did was I found our manager who consulted with us for 18 months through that opening process. And the book was great. It gave me a framework to work from. And 8 years later, we've been open. We've got seven barbers, seven chairs, and we're just having a good time and just really enjoying it. And learned a lot of valuable lessons because there are pros and cons to not know anything about the beauty industry when you open a barbershop. The cons is you don't know anything and you're figuring it all out along the way. The pros is that you don't know anything, right? You don't get caught up in any of the traps that are there just because they're systemic to the industry. And so you kind of come at it with a blank sheet of paper. And so that was great. I mean, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I think my biggest lesson learned is, and I think Ronit, this is something that you talk about all the time, which is pricing. Right? I was scared to price. I was scared that if I priced too high, we wouldn't get people through the door. Right? And if I could rewind that, I would have increased the prices by at least 25% more coming out of the gate. And it's just, yeah, we're just taking time. It's taking time to figure this out and understand that barbershops are like pizza joints. Your favorite one is the one that's closest to you, right? And so, as long as you're providing a good quality service, you got good quality people in there. People like convenience, right? And they like that neighborhood feel. And so we've had to increase prices over time to get to where we need to be. But that was probably one of the biggest lessons learned. Like if I had to redo it all again, just a little more confidence in the business and ourselves. But hey, that was part of the life lesson, right? It's part of the learning journey.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny on those pricing, yeah, but we'll talk about the pricing later. So then what happened?
So after a couple years of doing business development for a large industrial park, I was recruited by Northwestern Mutual to join the firm and to help grow the firm in the Charleston market. And so after interviewing them for a year, I decided to make the jump and come on over. And it's been fun. I've been there for 6 years. About 2.5, 3 years into the business, I had a light bulb moment, right? Where I had this realization that, like, wow, I own a barbershop. I have clients that are in the beauty industry. What would it look like if I did this with intentionality? And I went to the very first show I went to was Impulse Summit with my dear friend Micheline Barber, who I introduced y'all to. That was my very first show I ever did, and it was in Columbia, South Carolina. And I taught a class on just basic financial literacy, and the room was packed, standing room only. And it was this moment of like, oh wow, like it's more desperate than I realized, right? And I knew just from my own personal experience that money management, managing good finances was a challenge for this industry, and it's a challenge for many people. I think it's harder for this industry for some things we'll talk about later, which is the business ownership side of it. Um, but it just became really, it was obvious to me that like this work is needed and that I like these people a lot. I think they're fun. I think they're wonderful. They're my kind of crazy. And I enjoy being around them. And we just kept doing it. And I just started inviting myself to stuff. Right. And
So you finished the military,
yes, ma'am,
opened a barbershop,
did.
got recruited by, well, you had a little W-2 situation. You knew you're not going to happen. But did you purchase the barbershop or with your partner?
We built it from scratch.
You build it from scratch. So did you go into it the same way everybody gets in? You get a lease, you sign up a lease, you invest a little bit in the look of it, some money, and then you open it up, and then you're like, okay, I'm open, come get me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that, I mean, that sums it up, right? And so we signed a 7-year lease, which was one of financially one of my scarier moments in life. And it's funny, putting the money into the shop wasn't such a big deal. It's when I signed that 7-year commitment to a lease, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is real, right? And I just did a 10-year renewal, right? And I didn't think twice about it. I would have done 20 years if it made sense, right? I mean, like I got total confidence in the shop and the direction that we're heading in. I have an amazing team. They're great people. The problems that we have there are small, right? They're just small stuff, right? Um, and one of the things I learned early on is that I can't fix people, and my job in being a small business owner is not to help make people get over their problems. It's to help provide everyone a non toxic work environment. And so one of the commitments I made to my team in the first couple of years was like, we'll hire slow and fire fast, right? And we're going to do everything we need to do to maintain culture inside the shop. And my number one metric is not my P&L. P&L is important; it's reflective of the business. My number one metric is retention of my team. And I know that if I keep consistent team members, you go through the whole Norman, Foreman, Storman kind of thing, and you learning each other and figuring out like, okay, well, they're just having a bad day. I can just ignore that, or to figure out how to work together. And every time you introduce a new body into a 900 square foot space, like it sends waves through everything.
This episode is sponsored by Salon Cadence, the only global advisory network helping salon and spa and med spa CEOs scale to 7 and 8 figures without a burnout. This is not a do it yourself program. This is do it with you and for you. From profit first system to team run leadership. First, we fix the numbers, then we create the wealth, then we focus on CEO mindset, and we build the process with your team to give you the ultimate freedom to become the true CEO and visionary you are. We have helped thousands grow widely successful for freedom driven companies in beauty, wellness, and regenerative medicine. If you're ready to grow, scale, and live a wealthy life, visit saloncadence.com. Now, one of the most important things that you can invest in and not do it yourself, I highly recommend mysalonbooks.com. Salon owners that are tired of never knowing if you're actually profitable or where your money is going, on what your money is doing for you or against you. The team at My Salon Books takes the stress off your plate. They are specialized in salon booking, providing real-time insight and financial clarity so you can focus on what you do best, running a thriving salon. Here at Salon Cadence, we recommend mysalonbooks.com. It is the only bookkeeping management that utilizes the profit first the right way. So go to mysalonbooks.com to learn more and get free evaluation of your own books. Okay, so this is what the point that I want to bring in. This is really important for the audience to hear. So, two guys that know nothing about hair, as a matter of fact, coming from military and financial investment, just buy a salon for, barbershop for, a startup, an investment. Yet, did you find that you had to be there every day?
No, no. Our manager is fantastic. He consulted with us for 18 months when we went through the opening process. He feels vested into the barbershop. And so his name is Mikey. Mikey is a dear, dear friend. And I know his family well. He knows my family well. And, he's family to us. And so we just love and appreciate him. And he maintains kind of the day to day consistency. And candidly, he's only in there a couple of days a week. He has a salon. He has another salon that he works out of as well. And so, the big piece of it is just, we have expectations and standards when people come aboard. We relay what those are and ask if they can hold those. And that's what we expect of people. So
The thing is, though, what I'm trying to put a point out there to our audience is that we work in salon cadence. We work on making sure that the operator, which is a hairdresser that owns the salon and actually there 24/7, leave the chair, get away from being an operator, and become the CEO of their company. And so, how can we? Our whole salon cadence journey is that how can we turn an operator from being required to be at the business to be an acquired position, meaning that they can sell and exit anytime they want to. But the separation anxiety they all get, and they think that everybody always needs them. Here we are, we have two investors, right, that know nothing about the industry, but they understand people and
Mhm.
they understand retention, and they come in, open something, and they're not there. So what are the key measurement or the key steps that you needed to do to make sure that the company is sustainable and it's scalable and it's growing without you being in there?
Yeah, I think that. So I think from a growing perspective, our growth is all about consistent team members. I honestly, Renee, I explored opening a second location, and what I walked away from was I still have money I can make in the one location I have. I don't need to go through the pain of opening up a second location when I can still generate more profit out of the current one that I have. And there's still work to do in that space. Um, the key metrics, I'll go back to the number one in my book is consistency. Over half of my team has been with me for 4 years or longer. Right, that's key. I have one new barber that just started. He just graduated from school. Super excited about him. Veteran, right? Spent 4 years in the Navy. Decided he wanted to get out and became a barber. So I'm just excited about what he brings to the team, and the team's excited about him because they get to share and impart their knowledge and their skills on him as he's growing. So it's fun. I enjoy that. So the consistency in the team's number one. The one thing I do that I don't give up control of. There's one thing I do is I do payroll because the numbers tell the story. And every other week, I sit down, I do payroll, and that's what tells me. It tells me how much people are working. It tells me how many clients they're seeing. It tells me what their average tickets are. It tells me who my primary revenue generators are, and that's the number one thing. Other than that, like I just pop in and do the celebrity tour. Like I pop in, I high five people, tell them they look great, high five them, and then I'm out the door before they start asking me too many questions.
So you're still controlling the numbers, which is great, and you also have a manager in space that does very well on. And what's the manager position?
So he's a barber, and so he's a master license. If I don't get this right, he'll beat me. He's a master licensed cosmetologist and a master licensed barber. He educates. He travels internationally to do education as well. He's lived overseas in Korea. The guy's got a wealth of experience. And if there's anything I do that irritates him, is I probably ask him too many questions. But that's okay. I'm the owner. I can do that. But that's probably. But he knows that it comes from a place of love, right? And he knows that he can push back, and I still love him even when he pushes back.
So for anyone out there, if for one second you think, and I'm speaking to all of you guys out there, the one second you think that you, in order to grow your profits, in order to scale, you need to be the main person operator, I will tell you you're wrong. And it's actually, in order to grow, you got to let go, because you're either going to be the person who cuts hair or the person who allows others to do what they do best and empower them and grow them. So it is possible. And if more than anything, it's not a matter of possible, it's a matter of a must. But if you still want to be at the chair, you still want to be the creative, you must replace the CEO with a CEO, right? So you cannot be both. So
Right.
you are running Call Wealth, which is a financial company supporting the beauty industry.
That's right.
And so this has been a really great transition. And knowing your wife, you guys always seem to have such a great chemistry. Would you say that your family life is and your lifestyle, you kind of like the is by design? So you own the investment because you want to produce the lifestyle that you want?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I don't know that actually, Bernie, I don't know that anybody's ever actually asked me that question. So good job. So what I would say is for kind of I'll frame it with the barbershop. The barbershop was learning if I wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? It was, hey, it was important to me when I was transitioning out of the military that I put the rudder over hard left, right? And I just did a big change. Like I didn't want to just keep doing military stuff, but just in civilian clothes. Nothing against those who do. I'm grateful for them. It just wasn't for me. Like I did it. I loved it. I had a great time. Time for the next thing. And so in many ways, the barbershop was just kind of that hard shift into something new, exciting, scary. It was great. Um, I knew that being a W-2 employee, there's a lot that I didn't have control over, which, surprisingly coming from people that think 20 years in the Navy, like you'd be very comfortable with control. And I would argue that the Navy in particular creates entrepreneurs, just kind of the culture of the organization. Here's the thing to do, go get it done. Tell me when it's done, right? That's kind of the idea. And I didn't have the wisdom while I was in the service to understand that. It kind of came together when I was working for a wonderful company, and like I wanted to run about 1,000 miles an hour, and they're like, slow down just a little bit, right? And I realized, okay, there's going to be this constant friction, and I had big visions and dreams of what I want to do, what I want to achieve, and I felt like my partnership with Northwestern Mutual, through which I run Cold Wealth Management, um, was the right fit for me to do that. Right, it was the right balance of having the brand, the quality of Northwestern Mutual, the legacy that they bring, but also having um, my ability to be a business owner and run my practice the way that I want to run my practice. And so I had to spend a couple years learning how to be a financial professional. I earned my certified financial planning designation, right? Did all this stuff. Um, and at that moment, at that light bulb moment, was like, okay, this is where I want to take my business, right? And but to your point, it really does allow me, this business, being a business owner allows me to prioritize my family ahead of my work, right? And um, Elizabeth, the main reason Elizabeth is an employee, I use that very loosely, is she has access to my calendar. And I just say, hey, anywhere I need to be, anything I need to do, just put it on my calendar. And if it's on my calendar, I'll be there. I'll build everything in the world around those things. I just need to know about them. And if I know about them, I can be there. And so this career allows you to do that. Being a business owner allows you to do that.
Yeah, and we forget that that we can do it. I mean, I just got back from travel for 4 weeks in Vietnam in Bangkok, and I put it on the calendar, and it was there, and I didn't compromise for that. You don't always. I mean, it's not like I own a brick and mortar, and I would worry about a fire going on.
Right.
But if you do design and you put some system in place and processes in place, and you have the right people, you can empower others in your team to do that, which is
Yeah.
important. Um, and you can absolutely, but I didn't used to do that, Michael. I missed a lot of important moments with my children, a lot of important moments with my children. Um, Lost a lot of time, to things that don't even matter anymore. And back then I thought that mattered most. And so we forget what really mattered most. With this podcast or our show, it's Living a Profitable Life show, we're going to bring you so many great guests and lessons and teachings. So it's really is wonderful to have our partners, sponsors that helping us make this possible for everyone. But it is you who are going to make us better. So I'm asking you to always always comment and let me know, how was this episode? Was it helpful? What else would you like to learn? What else would you like to see? It's predicted within the next few years, this industry, this beautiful beauty industry around the world, is going to be growing by 8 to 10% incremental. That means opportunities to grow, to develop, to anything you want to be in this world. The thing is, the more you subscribe and share it with your friend, the more I can make this podcast be the best place for you. Any subject that you find is necessary, let us know. So please subscribe and help us get to at least 1,000 downloads. Once we get there, we'll celebrate. So, going into that, Michael, now your biggest impact is, how can I help in the beauty industry owners become wealthier and maximize their earning? So I'd love for you to share um, with us or with all entrepreneurs, what are the two key things that they need to do right now? We talked about it before, that that they don't realize when they get to a certain point.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you right out of the gate is the number one thing when starting a business is you got to start planning your exit. And it seems counterintuitive, but if you don't have a vision for what your exit looks like, then you don't really have an end state that you're driving towards. And if we don't have an end state we're driving toward, then we just kind of flounder around, and maybe we go in the right direction, maybe we don't, but we're largely just kind of floundering around, and because we don't have that desired end state. So I think number one is have a vision of an exit. Because here's a really sad statistic: close to 80% of small business owners just shut the door. They just shut the door. All that value just gone, right? Because they don't feel like they have anything that they can sell, and it's just not true. And so the beginning to getting business owners to think about that value proposition for their business, because for most of them, there's not a 401k, there's not a pension. Most of their value that they're going to have in retirement is going to come from an exit from their business. And so what does that look like, and understand what that means for them. So I think that's number one. The second thing is, we will, and it's slightly repetitive, but it's super important. There's three reasons that we stop working, that we get out of our business: is death, disability, or retirement. The latter is definitely preferred, but we have to plan against all three. And getting people to think through not only the fun and sexy stuff of building wealth and making money and walking around and high-fiving your employees and feeling really good about yourself, but it's also the harsh realities of ownership. And, I had some clients here I have some clients here recently. I've been on them for a while about their operating agreement, about their buy sell arrangement, what would happen if something happened to one of their partners. And they were slow to take action, slow to take action. And then I got a call that says, we got to meet tomorrow. And one of their partners died, young, like 35 years old, just dead the next day. Right. And, and they were like, unfortunately, from a business perspective, it was a minor partner. Right. And so not a massive impact from a business perspective, but a massive impact personally. And then having to work through, oh my gosh, like this operating agreement really matters. Like this planning really matters. And so I hate that it comes to that, but that's just the harsh reality, right? Is bad things happen to good people.
Or bad things happening to bad people. So I think it just happens.
Happen, period.
It better happen to bad people, but it happens. So
Bad things
Well,
happen, period.
I don't know bad people. I think y'all have heard me say this. I have a very strict no jackass policy. Um, and so if somebody falls in that realm, I say no, thank you. I can be bald, but I haven't met a person with enough money to buy me.
I guess we all have our price, but
I'll
I
have a
would say,
price.
We
I
all
guess, I guess, I don't know. You just give me a jet and tell me let's go to Hawaii. I'll say, what do you want for that? What do you want for that? I know Nicole will be right there with me. So,
Oh yeah. I
oh
definitely
yeah.
Absolutely.
But going back to that, Michael, I think this is really important. So, we also talked about when you're at that age, that your parents' age, and they might not have health insurance like that, good health insurance.
Right.
And I think that's important. What can we do with the health insurance? Like even me, I'm going to be 59 very soon.
I thought it
So,
was 49.
well, I look 39, and if you actually tested, I probably even look 30. Okay, so
Solidly. Absolutely.
So smooth, this guy.
smooth, smooth. But listen, I'm celebrating 59, and we're gonna celebrate it together because I'm gonna be in premiere. Every year I have my anniversary and my birthday in Orlando. Um, but we'll go to my favorite restaurant and we're gonna have a good time. I actually last year, Nicole and everyone celebrated with a big cake, and we were by the pool and had a. This time I want to go to Disney. This time, I want to do a day in Disney. Okay, I want to celebrate it. I want to go see Mickey Mouse. This is why I just want to have fun.
So funny. Oh
Let's
my gosh, she
go.
really can be bought.
Easy, easy. It's like, okay, we're going Sunday night. Let's go have fun, and that will be okay. So the question is, what can you do? What's the best thing to do if you're when your parents are aging? Okay, I'm at 59. My mom is 70 years old, 79. And what can we do to prepare, or how can we help our children not be in a position like that? So what will be the best course of action?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up because this leads to something that's near and dear to me, which is, and it's especially relevant to this industry, is that women have some unique financial planning challenges that most men don't have, right? I kind of have it because I'm an only child, right? So it all kind of falls squarely on my shoulder, but which is being the caretaker, right? And so many women's careers are impacted by caring for children, and then they kind of get back in the career field. And then if they have an aging parent, it may fall on them to manage the aging parent, and that can have an impact on their career or their ability to generate wealth. And then when they get back beyond that and they kind of start working again, it's kind of interesting. What we're finding is that many women are working longer into retirement, not necessarily because they have to, but many just want to because they find that they're hitting like their peak year because they're having the most fun, and husband's home on retirement wondering where his bride is, and she's working, enjoying her best life, right? And so it creates some very interesting dynamics that I think that most people aren't thinking about. So I'll talk about the sandwich generation first, right? So the sandwich generation is I have two, Elizabeth and I have two boys. We're in prime time with baseball, pole vault, swim team, scouts, all the stuff, right? And then our parents are getting older, right? And the reality of it is that Elizabeth has a brother. It's care of her parents is probably going to fall largely on her shoulders. And then I'm an only child. And so my mom, that's going to fall squarely on my shoulders. And so I had to have a really hard conversation with my mom about 5 years ago, which is, hey, if you need help with long-term care events, with aging events, like what are your desires? Like, what is it that you want? Do you want to be in the home? Do you want to go to an assisted living community? Like what is it that you want? What will make you feel most, desire? What will make you feel most appreciated and loved and taken care of? And so we had to have that conversation. It was really challenging because I had that conversation with my mom too late in life, in her life, right? I should have had this conversation with her 10 years earlier because when it didn't feel so real and relevant to her. And so it became a much more,
What age would you recommend having that conversation?
uh, in the 50s, I'll be quite honest.
No!
Yes. I mean, no doubt.
No!
I mean, honestly, like the sooner, if you're an adult child, like, so like I'm 51, my 14-year-old's not going to come to me and talk to me about my long-term care situation. But I will tell you, my mom was 70 when I had that conversation with her, and it wasn't too late, but it was more painful. Um, and I credit my mom with muscling through a lot of emotions to kind of get to where we are today, right? So, and she feels good that we've addressed that. Um, But I would say 60, 65. Like, I mean, like, you know,
What do they do? What is the thing to do?
yeah, it's a good question. So, when it comes to specifically around long-term care planning, there's really three options, right? Let's talk about just from a financial, from a funding perspective first, all right? So, option one is you're super high net worth, you're truly self-insured, you already have all the money in the world to pay for this expense. Okay. Um, the other option is on the other end of the spectrum. I have no money. The government's going to pay for it for me through the form of Medicaid. Nobody wants to be in that situation. That is not a pleasant experience. Um, but the vast majority of us are in the middle, right? And the reality of it is if you reach the age of 65, there's a 50-50 shot that you will need some form of help with long-term care, defined as needing help with two of the five activities of daily living to include eating, dressing, transferring, things of that nature, or a cognitive event. And as we're all living longer, especially women, that issue with a cognitive event is just going to become more likely, whether it's Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that. And so, realizing that the vast majority of us are not going to have enough money to self insure or going to have support from the government, we got to talk about how are we going to pay for it, right? Where's the money going to come from? And so that can be savings, it can be children, it can be selling a home, it can be long term care insurance. There's a number of different ways to get after it. I joke with Elizabeth Nicole, you can tell her this. The best Valentine's gift I gave her was a long term care policy.
Oh, wow. The
I'm a sweet man. And so,
Roman.
but here's the reality of it is that if anything happens to me and I have two boys who aren't going to be natural caregivers, right? Um, I want to make it really easy for her to get the care she needs. So I know that about the time she's going to need the care, she's going to have about $1.8 million there to take care of her.
What does it mean long term? So what do you mean you gave her? So how does that show up? And why is it important? What?
It's an insurance policy. It's a long-term care insurance policy that I fund for a 15-year period of time, and we're putting a lot of money into it on an annual basis. And she's going to have a bucket of tax-free dollars in that policy that will pay for her long-term care needs. And it's going to look like about $1.8 million there because the reality of it is with inflation, that's probably about what it's going to cost for a 5+ year event should she need that much care. So that's the single biggest risk to every financial plan. If you're in retirement, long-term care is the biggest risk to your financial plan. If you're trying to save for retirement, your parents' long-term care plan is the biggest risk to your financial plan.
This episode is sponsored by Vish, the smartest color management system for profitable salons. Vish tracks your color usage, reduces waste, and helps you charge accurately for all color services so you can protect your profit and grow with confidence. You know that we are all about profit and how we live a profitable life by, of course, by design. You can definitely make it so easily, and I've seen it, the actual results on the P&L. Vish makes it happen. Now join thousands of salons using Vish to scale smarter. Head to getvish.com and see the difference for yourself. This episode is sponsored by Forest Salon Software, the all-in-one solution designed to help salon, spa, med spa owners really deliver with confidence and really design and drive their company to success. Forest isn't just a booking system. It is your machine that will help you grow your company with smart marketing and real-time reporting, staff performance tracking, and world-class support. And I mean world-class support, because I wouldn't even recommend Forest if they didn't have a world-class support. Now, so whether you're scaling to 7 figures or streamline your operation or need to fix things and tighten things up, Forest can help you make smarter decisions and deliver the luxury experience that your clients and your members really need. If you're ready for software that is all in and grows with you and support you for a truly team run company, just visit forest.com and discover why thousands of salons trust Forest. And mention Salon Cadence and you'll get the perk. So, a good thing to do, from what I understand, is to actually buy insurance for your children. And as that insurance mature, that's going to be the long term for you.
Potentially, yeah, it can be if it's properly funded. There's another strategy. So, I think what we're talking about. Go for it, Renee.
No, because so I'm thinking it's like every case is different, and you typically sit down with the clients and the members, you evaluate their cash flow, you evaluate their future goals, and based on that, you can pick up the best funding for them to support them within those years. So I think there's options there, and you can options is to even borrow capital for your company based on a long-term insurance or whole life insurance as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's thanks for bringing that up. So I frame that as building a strategic cash reserve, and a strategic cash reserve can be phenomenally impactful for business planning and also for retirement planning. The fun and sexy stuff everybody wants to talk about is investing, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, all the stuff. Watch the stock market go up, watch it go down. It's all the fun stuff to do, and we spend the vast majority of our time focused in that space. But there are some key things that we can implement that don't feel as sexy, right? But they're super duper important, right? And so building a strategic cash reserve in a tax efficient bucket can be a very effective way to do that. And leveraging a permanent life insurance product is a way to do that, right? Whether that's whole life or use variable life or use universal life, there are some key ways that you can fund that to build up that strategic cash reserve so that you have it in the case of an emergency, right? Or to leverage as collateral for a loan. Because I have a good client. He's probably got $300,000 in cash value instead of a life insurance policy. The bank is very happy to give him a line of credit against that because with no underwriting, they're like, "Oh, you've got it, right? This is the safest money that you can have. And so here's a line of credit." And then for business purposes, that line of credit is a little more tax efficient, right? And so it's a great way to build a strategic cash reserve. From a retirement planning perspective, um, if the market goes down, like we've kind of seen happen kind of off and on over the last couple of years, to have the ability to turn the funnel off, right? To say, all right, I'm not going to pull money out of the stock market because you don't lose money until you sell, right? So to have the ability to shut it off when it drops, open up the valve to your strategic cash reserve, fund your retirement with that, close it off when the market goes back up, open up the valve back up to your
Yeah.
equities is a gold.
And
It
most
makes
of the people will freak out and sell it, and that's how they lose money. And we can't.
That's exactly right. Yes, exactly.
So we can protect it. So there's so many things that we can do just with a variant of insurances in different ways. But people are always worried about the word insurance because they think they're going to dump money and never see it back. And yes, while it could happen, it is the security. But there's many ways that my audience and can listen to it and say, wait a second, I got to know everything about it. So the first step is to get educated about how can you optimize on so many tools that we have, Michael, in order to create some capital and security and either retirement or plan for your exit. And I love that. We're coming into those personal questions, Michael. Are you ready for them?
I love personal questions.
So you know, I know we dove into how you started, how you got here, your success. You have a great family, and amazing vision, and your heart is into helping. But you know, with every great success, there's always that greatest failure, or I would say um, you know, that time where you just never want to have that again. So, can you share with us one of your biggest failures and what did you learn and what did it teach you?
I think I think my biggest failure that I've ever had, and I'll just kind of relate it to the financial planning practice, would be centered around fear, right? Is being scared to call that most high net worth person that's in your Rolodex and to say, "Hey, I'm here to help," because you make assumptions that that person has everything all together, that they can't possibly need my help, and at the end of the day, you find out that they did need your help, but they went to somebody else, and they didn't use you, and all you had to do was ask the question. Those burn, right? And so I think that fear shows up in different ways for different people and different businesses. It reflects a little bit differently. But I know for me, um, and I'll just call this pride. I have pride, and so I don't like hearing people say no. And so that can lead to fear of hearing no, which is just absolutely ridiculous because it's just no, right? It's just
It's just a no. And no means, to me, no means yes. I don't know, you know. To, to me, no means yes. Okay, what can I do to turn that no into yes? You know.
yeah. It's an opportunity to ask why, right? It's an opportunity to ask why because I think we can all, and I think this will relate to, I think your business owners and your team will relate to this. We can all feel like we have imposter syndrome, where we feel like we're putting on the game face. We feel like we're kind of building ourselves up, but inside we feel like we're just kind of faking it till we make it, right? And I think that realizing that it's okay to not know all the answers and to ask people for help doesn't mean that you're an imposter. It just means you're human and you're really just trying to figure out like the best way to run your business.
Mm,
Wow.
that's powerful. Now, if you can put on a billboard anywhere, what would a billboard say?
I could have a lot of fun with this, but I think at the end of it, it would be just my pleading statement of "Let me help, please." Right? Just let me help, please, because like I know you need the help, right? I do. Like in some way, shape, form, or fashion, vast majority of us need help with our financial planning in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Um, and sometimes I think when people don't want the help, it's because they're a little bit embarrassed or ashamed of what can be found, right? And and I think that I just try to come from a place of trust and saying there's no judgment, right? I mean, you're not expected to do all of this, right? That's my job, right? My job is to help with this, and um, I think that where I can bring the most help sometimes is just helping people understand their budget,
Oh, yeah.
right? I mean, truly just like help them understand. Like they're like, I make $250,000 a year. I have nothing to show for it. I was like, I can find it. I can find it. Really, it's my associate minor. He's the one that finds it. but we'll find it, right? We know the numbers don't lie, right? And we can help identify that problem and bring light to it. And what I find is that if you shine light on it, you begin to think about it, right? You begin to make different financial choices because you understand the impact of those small decisions, right? I mean, it's the classic Starbucks and Uber Eats, right? Well, I didn't have time to case prep. Well, I was like, well, then, or case prep, excuse me. I didn't have time to prep my food for the week. Well, then you have to work for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So let's make some hard decisions. Let's make some sacrifices and get prepared.
I'll help you make the decision because I think when you come to financial wealth and you're in a bind, then you know that's everyone that doesn't skip anyone, and there is no. You can look at that as diversity. It doesn't matter what color, what shape, what religion, what we all go through hard times. So this is a special opportunity to get help, and get help in making the right decisions, because I think that's the biggest overwhelm, not knowing and not having a professional advice.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think if there's one other thing that I would make sure that we mention on this is, and I think it's relevant across every industry, it's relevant across every occupation, every neighborhood. But this idea of like you can either look rich or be rich, but most of us can't do both.
Yeah. Wow,
And
that's
Why not? I want to do both.
I
and that's the reality of it
think
is
that's the
you
difference between being rich and wealthy as well, right?
Yeah, that's I heard it somewhere, Michael, that some people, um, they buy those expensive shoes, they have their Louis Vuitton bag, and that's cool. Or you just buy a fancy car. So why would people buy a fancy car and some people will buy a fancy bag? Well, fancy car will get you a lot of tax return. Fancy car will get you a lot of benefits, but the bag, I don't know about getting that other than that fancy look. So, well,
I think that's, when you hear somebody being like house poor or car poor, I think that's what it
right.
is. Yeah, it has everything to do with that. Our last question that we had for you, Michael Cole, that we haven't had the chance to touch on, but I think is a really great way to wrap things up, is by sharing what your superpower is, and why people work with you and want to be a part of that zone of genius.
Yeah, well, thank you. I don't know about genius, but we'll roll with it. So my superpower is connecting people, ideas, and resources for a greater good. I've known that about myself for a long time, even before I got in financial services. I think frequently the most value I bring to people is connecting them with other great people, right?
so true, so true, and I'll be the testimony for that. That we have gotten to know so many people, Michael, and you always are the connector. So it's amazing. Well, this has been amazing. And where can we find Michael Cole?
You will find me here at Premiere in Orlando, depending on when this is going to be released. I don't know what the rest of my show schedule is going to look like. I will probably be at PBA Executive Summit at the end of the year. I'm really enjoying my engagement with PBA. They're wonderful, doing incredible stuff. You can find me on my website, michaelcole.nm.com, excuse me, or on Instagram, j.michaelcole.
Perfect. And guess what? We're going to have all of that provided for you right in our show notes. And for anyone who has any question, or just send us any topic that you want us to focus on. And I promise you, and I promise you that every time we're going to make every episode better. So all you need to do is subscribe to our, there's just people listen, but they don't push on that button subscribe. I don't know why. But if you do, I promise you that the more we grow, the more opinion that we get from you guys, the more we bring you what you need and what you want. So thank you, Michael.
Thank you. I love y'all. It was great seeing you.
So
Love
good to see
y'all.
you.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael Cole. So great.